Hey everybody, it's Karen Anderson here with Aortic Hope. I'm happy to be back for our weekend review. And as always with our weekend review, I'm going to ask you to take a second, whether you're watching this live or in replay, click like, click subscribe, hit the little bell so that you're notified whenever we have our live events. And as always, please leave us a message, shoot us a comment, interact with me, especially today, because it looks like I'm starting off by myself. Hopefully we'll have some guest hosts to hop in with us today, but if not, I'll just gonna wing it all myself here. But we are going to begin with going over with you our Monday. Our Medical Monday. This is, again, our weekend review. We really do this to give everybody an opportunity who might not be on social media so often, checking out our website or our Facebook page. We wanted to give you an opportunity to hear a little bit about our posts and ideally talk to us, whether it's live or through comments on YouTube, and give us your thoughts and weigh in on some of these posts because they're pretty informative and some of them can be a lot of fun and entertaining as well. So let's get started with our Medical Monday. And we wanted to chat a little bit about aortic valve disease. And if you're not aware, the Society for Thoracic Surgeons has this phenomenal patient website. So if you go to their main page and you look up at the top right-hand side, it says patient website and patient resources. If you click on the website, you will be entered into a world of everything that's thoracic. So when you go into the congenital heart, and I guess it's heart condition area, you will see a subsection for thoracic aortic aneurysms, aortic dissections, aortic valve disease, etc. All of the things that kind of fit within our community. And I'll tell you, they have the most easiest to understand videos, wonderful explanations for conditions and terminology from well-known physicians, names we've all heard of within the community. And they're just like an encyclopedia of answers to questions, and they include PDF. It's just wonderful. You need to go check it out. But on their website, they have shared that there are two main types of aortic valve disease. Now, if you take a look at this graphic here, you'll see that normally when you have your aortic valve, it's called a tricuspid. It means 3 leaflets. And this here is a bicuspid. That's where we run into a little bit of problems. Aortic regurgitation, which is also known or heard of as aortic insufficiency, is when the valve does not close completely and it allows a little bit of blood to leak backwards back into the heart. And aortic stenosis, another terminology you might hear, is when the valve is too tight and doesn't open enough to allow the blood to flow, leave the heart, and enter into the rest of the body. Now, aortic disease, this terminology that we talk about, actually can begin at birth, which would be considered congenital, or that you would be considered having a congenital heart defect because the valve is part of the heart. And it can also develop as we age, which would be considered acquired, non-congenital. And to quote within this article, a faulty or failing aortic valve may cause symptoms such as shortness of breath, chest pain, dizziness or loss of consciousness, which would be passing out. And these symptoms are due to the heart having to work harder because of the narrowed or leaky valve. Some patients will be unable to sleep flat in bed or may find that they're awakening short of breath. Another potential symptom can be swollen feet, particularly in the late afternoon or early evening. And presently, there's no medications that can actually cure aortic valve disease. So it doesn't mean if you have 1 or 2 of those symptoms listed above that there's something horrifically wrong with your valve. It might mean that you want to check it out. It definitely means you want to share it with your physician and let them be the ones to decide what further testing or follow-up needs to happen. Now, just so that you're aware, typically the valves, the aortic valves, are fixed surgically. And if you want additional information on how these valves are fixed, because sometimes it's open, sometimes it's endovascularly, I strongly suggest you check out the patient website and resource information under aortic valve disease that's on the Society of Thoracic Surgeons website for greater detail. All of this, again, is just used to help you create that conversation with your physician, start the dialogue, and helping to have all of your questions answered. But reminder, if you're finding you're having any of these symptoms, and again, it's summertime, so sometimes people swell, sometimes there's shortness of breath due to allergies. It doesn't mean that you have a leaky valve or you have aortic valve stenosis. It just means it should be mentioned. And that would be our Medical Monday. Really good information. I think sometimes the misconception is that Aortic Hope only handles patients that have had aortic dissections, and that could not be farther from the truth. I mean, you need to back up. A dissection is very rare, and a dissection can be caused from having an aneurysm. It also can just spontaneously happen, typically due to having a connective disorder. But really, for us, it's anything starting at that aortic valve and working all the way down to the bottom into the abdomen. So you'll find all kinds of interesting information with us typically on our Medical Mondays and Topic Tuesdays. So going on now to our Topic Tuesday, which was great information. Topic Tuesday has to do with our caregivers. What an important part of our recovery and our just living our most living our best lives would be our caregivers. Now, caregivers, they don't have to be defined solely as your spouse. It could be a really good friend. It could be a relative. So anybody that's providing care, whether that's emotional support or physical support, would be your caregiver. And the interesting thing about caregivers is they have their own set of needs, which is why on Facebook we created the Aortic Hope Caregivers Only Private Forum. And it's really a place where they can have private conversations with other caregivers. They can emote, they can share their own thoughts, their own concerns. In addition, we offer twice a month support group meetings specifically and only for those caregivers. And they can have a therapist present. We have speakers that talk specifically about the needs of caregivers. So I think whether you have aortic disease or any type of illness, or even if you've just had a surgery that requires help of a loved one, caregivers walk away with a very different set of emotional responses and needs after assisting us as the patient. So it's important if you are a patient or you are part of this aortic community to talk to your caregiver and refer them on to us, because I think that they will find a whole new world of support and empathy if they're able to tap into the resources that we offer. But moving on to Topic Tuesday, have you ever heard of the term hidden casualties? And I'm going to reply to myself since I'm here by myself. No, I have never heard of the term hidden casualties. Well, it's often overlooked when it comes to caregivers that might be suffering PTSD. And you have to think about this. We all know that the majority of us those who have had aortic dissections and things are emergent, to walk away without a degree of PTSD and to come out of that unscathed, that's just not heard of. Anything that's emergent in one's life, whether you severely broke your leg because you fell down the steps, or you've just recovered or gone into remission from an illness like cancer or lupus, it's going to be traumatic. The degree of trauma, it's determined by the individual. Everybody experiences things differently, but we often take for granted that caregivers, they have a degree of PTSD as well. So that's because they almost lost us and they were left in the waiting room for hours wondering what was happening with us. And it's traumatic and it came out of nowhere. So, because they endured this type of trauma from their own perspective, they often have this hidden casualty and result of PTSD. So, let's talk about this a little bit further. In Camino Recovery, David, I'm going to butcher names because that's what I'm known for. David Scourfield writes in an article titled, Why Family Caregivers Are Likely to Develop PTSD. He writes that broadly, caregiving, particularly those in a family caregiver role, is one of the leading causes of PTSD. And although the psychological distress associated with taking care of family members is often overlooked, as a result, family caregivers are frequently overlooked as well by the healthcare profession and within familial communities. Still, the psychological distress that many family caregivers can endure could be burdensome and often wreaks havoc on their emotional and physical well-being. So if you want to learn a little bit more, you can always click the link, but let's talk about this a little bit in detail because I think it's very important. So when you're dealing with family-specific caregivers, this is not the friends that help you or the friends that were deeply impacted by your traumatic event. They endure the hidden casualties. They're considered the hidden casualties of the PTSD. And they usually have had many responsibilities ranging from making important decisions on our behalf, dealing with the mental and physical exhaustion that comes with just taking care of us. And it's not that we're high maintenance. It's everything from when we come home from the hospital, keeping track of our medications, because we're probably on narcotics and you really need someone to manage that for you because you're not going to be in any state of mind to track. Did I take my narcotic 4 hours ago, or was it 6 hours ago, or was it an hour ago? So that's just one of the many examples and ways that your loved ones and your caregivers track your medical responsibilities. Initially helping to make sure that you take your medications. If you're on any blood pressure medications, did you take it on time? Did you take it with food, without food, whatever the case may be? But it's typically the caregiver that's helping us with that, whether it's at home or it's at a healthcare facility. Caregivers often also, have to deal with incredible amounts of stress and anxiety, mainly when the caregiver's loved ones are getting treated in an intensive care unit. And pre-COVID, that's typically because in an ICU, there's only one, possibly two visitors. So now in this post-COVID world, some hospitals will allow one person back and some are not allowing anyone back in ICU. ICU is very different than being in that step-down unit. So when we're in ICU, you have, let's say, a set of parents, you have siblings. Many people are going to have to sit and wait in that loved one's waiting room. And so that is extremely grueling and very taxing on somebody. Caregivers also have to deal with the financial implications of caregiving because they have to handle our medical bills and long absences from work due to caregiving demands. So not only have you as the patient had to step away temporarily, possibly permanently from your job, but now they have to step away. And so hopefully they're in a situation where based on employment, they can step away and be covered under FMLA to have their job there when they return. But now they have to handle all of the bills that are coming in, what's coming in financially, what needs to go out as far as bills, and kind of manage were things taken care of by insurance, what's been paid, what hasn't. And I can speak from personal experience and say that even after I came home from the hospital from my dissection, the bills were insane. They kept coming and coming and coming. And then eventually, when my husband and I looked, we realized only one insurance was billed, not my secondary. So I often think, how many people in the world pay that bill without realizing it still needs to be submitted again to the second insurance or to a correct insurance? So that's a lot to have to think about on a regular basis, let alone from a caregiver who's trying to take care of us, and manage the home. So these are just some of the examples of the ways that I think they are the hidden, I'm trying to get back to that word, because they explain it so well. It's like the hidden toll that they're taking, when the hidden casualty that they endure by being a caregiver. Now, another aspect of family caregiving is the unsupported grief that many caregivers experience. And it's often referred to as ambiguous grief, which I've never actually heard that term of before. But family caregivers are at this increased risk of developing complicated grief due to the nature of this caregiving role, since the person they love is both here and kind of gone. And so we've talked about this before, but it's a really interesting concept because for those of us, obviously, that have survived a traumatic event or have survived a planned surgery that requires an extensive recovery, well, we're here, but as the loved one, as the patient, we're not necessarily ourselves. And I rest assured, after open heart surgery, you need a minimum of a year before you're really going to have a sense of who you are as a person. Well, your caregiver is experiencing that same time frame of kind of looking at you, trying to figure out what the new norm is for the relationship, for the person, for themselves now relating with you. And it kind of blows my mind away when I really think about all of the changes that for my relationship, my husband had to endure while I was going through that initial 1 to 2 years of recovery. For me, it's been, at this point in 2022, it's been 7 years. But before I got involved in watching Aortic Hope grow and learning about this, I never even thought about it. So again, if you're watching this, this is not just solely related to aortic disease. It really pertains to anything. And I guess it's to help us as patients be more mindful to the changes and the hidden casualties that our caregivers experience. And for people in the community, if you are a patient or a survivor, please share this with your caregiver. But there are many different types of grief, and it can mainly be due to the absence of death, which frequently causes confusion both for the griever and the people around them, because we have not died, we are here, and yet ourselves and the caregivers have been catapulted into the state of grief, where it's a world where it almost feels impossible to move forward and to learn to live with the uncertainty of our health. So that's another thing we take for granted, which is why when your loved one texts you, and as long as you're not driving, please pull your phone out. Please text your loved one and your caregiver back, because that term, "Are you dead in a ditch?" means something really tangible now, because they're so concerned. If something could happen to you at one point in time, it could happen again. If you are feeling winded after a scheduled surgery and you're not answering, is everything okay? And this may last years. It could be a trigger and nobody knows it. So just respect the fact that our caregivers live in this perpetual state of limbo. Even when we're doing well, they're also waiting for the shoe to fall. Even if us as patients go back to work and we start to live what appears to be the same life we had before, they will always sit in that state of limbo wondering, could this happen again? So check out this article. I mean, it really is a phenomenal article, and going through all the information in detail that just can help us have a better perspective as patients and survivors, and really help validate the feelings and maybe provide meaning and definition to some of the emotions that the caregivers are feeling. I thought it was phenomenally written, and it really shed a lot of light for me personally. So hopefully it will for you and your caregivers as well. That's our topic Tuesday. Molly's with us. Hey, Molly, thanks so much for popping in. If you have anything you'd like to contribute, I would love to hear it. And we are going to move on to Therapeutic Thursday. See, I couldn't even say the word because I love Therapeutic Thursday. It's the spoon theory. We talked about it many times before. And I got to tell you, I heard about the spoon theory many years ago when I was completely in the Crohn's and colitis world because I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease over 20 years ago. I am now in remission, knock on some wood that it stays that way. But the spoon theory is phenomenal. And I'm going to just read some information before I go into this graphic. And the spoon theory was actually created by Christine Miserando, who I had the pleasure of speaking with, someone who works on her team many, many years ago. And my dream would be to have her on with us talking about this face to face. It's a work in progress, but it is Mental Health Awareness Month, the month of May. And so we wanted to just ask you, how many of you consider yourselves to be spoonies? And this was an interesting question because some people knew what a spoonie meant, and some people heard of spoonie but didn't get it, and others had no, like spoon, fork, I don't know what you're talking about. But a spoonie is somebody who actually aspires, they take on the spoon theory. And again, the spoon theory was created by Christine Miserando. And here's how the spoon theory, in her words, is described. And then we're going to talk about its his practicality. Was that the one I want to say? And how it is applied to our world or any world of chronic illness. So let's think about it like this. I'm going to paraphrase what I'm reading here, but most people start the day with an unlimited amount of possibilities and energy to do whatever they desire, especially young people. But for the most part, they don't even need to worry about the effects of their actions. They get up, they spring out of bed. That's the first issue. And they just go about and live their life. They might have 16 screens minimized at work on 2 different monitors. They've got all these different things planned, life that they need to do. They go through life and they don't even think about the energy that they are using. And so for her explanation, she decided to use spoons to make a very, very clear point. She wanted something for I wanted something for her friend. She wanted something for her friend to actually hold because she had a friend that asked her about her energy level and how different it was than her own energy level. So she wanted something for her to hold, something so that she could take it away, since most people who get sick feel a loss of life as they once knew it. So as she says, if I was in control of taking away the spoons, then she would know what it feels like to have someone or something, in this case, she has lupus, what it was like to have that be in control. So in this explanation comes from her website, butyoudon'tlooksick.com. So let's talk about the spoon theory. And basically what it says is, if you look here, if you only had 12 spoons per day, every single person gets 12 spoons from the minute they wake up. You would take away 1 spoon if you didn't sleep well, that goes. And if you forget to take your meals, or if you skip a meal. If you're sick and you have a cold, you take away 4 spoons. Okay, so spoons represent energy that is used. And if somebody says to you, you look great, you don't look sick. Okay, so in the life of somebody who has aortic valve issues and they have shortness of breath, they've had an aortic dissection, they get fatigued easily, whatever the case may be. Let's take a look at values of spoons. So you have to get out of bed. That's a spoon. Okay, get out of bed is a spoon. Another thing for 1 spoon would be getting dressed. Taking medicines is a spoon. Watching TV. That's the amount of energy that utilizes a spoon. Now, when you have to bathe or shower, that value is 2 spoons. If you have to blow dry your hair, it's 2 spoons. If you're surfing the internet, if you're reading a book, all of that costs 2 spoons. 3 spoons is making and eating a meal, making plans, talking on the phone and socializing, light housework, or having to drive somewhere. That could be 3 spoons. 4 spoon value would be going to work, going to school, going shopping, going to the doctor, going to the gym. That all could be 4 spoons. Now, in the life of someone who has a chronic illness, getting out of bed, that could actually feel like it's worth 2 spoons. It took too much to get out of bed. Maybe you got out of bed and you were feeling dizzy, you had to get back in bed. Then you have to take medicine. So your typical normal younger person might not have to take medicine. They get to keep that spoon. Now I got to give up another spoon. Now I have to get dressed, but I find it very exhausting. That's 2 spoons. I'm at 5 spoons used, but now I'm tired, so I have to lay down again and I'm going to have to get out of bed again. That's another spoon. And now it's time for me to cook dinner. Well, cooking dinner could cost 3 spoons, but now I'm exhausted, so I need to sit after I've cooked dinner. And now I have to get back up because I'm going to try to go to the gym. That's a 4th spoon. So my point is, we exhaust energy at a much greater rate, higher quantity, and faster pace than your average healthy, I put in quotes, person. And the reason to use the spoon theory is to help create that visual of how we are feeling and doing on a daily basis. And what I found is it can change all the time. So if I just look at today and I say, today I woke up with my 12 spoons. Today's a really good day for me, by the way. I'm pretty energized. I've been very low key all morning, just taking care of some things. My medications have not really kicked in fully yet so far today, so I'm still really energized. I think given all things, I'm probably have utilized 2 spoons. 2 spoons. I've got 10 to go. Knowing me with this heat that's going on outside, and I still have a doctor's appointment to address, and once my meds kick in, that's going to be 4 or 5 spoons just to drive from here to an office. So spoons come and go depending on how you feel and how you value the weight in that spoon. And the point again is, we utilize spoons at a much higher rate, and the value placed on the spoon might be more than that of a healthier person. Use the spoon theory if you find that it might help you describe to somebody what you go through on a daily basis, especially when someone says, can't believe you're feeling sick. You do so much. I see you so active. You take a vacation, you're doing this, you're going there. What they don't know is that could have cost you 10 spoons to enjoy that day. And it's 3 o'clock and you have 2 left. How are you going to use that 2? And there's nothing worse than having somebody, for me, say, gosh, you look so great. How can you be sick? How do you ever have a down day? You know, that really can be very bothersome to some people because they don't know what's going on. And when I'm really busy, I need the next day to literally do nothing. So I give it all and then I crash and burn. And sometimes my 12 spoons are used the minute I woke up. I am down for the count. So again, hopefully this resonates with some of you and you see the value, and maybe you can use it. Like if you know you have an event to go to on a Saturday, you've got a wedding to participate in, for instance, maybe you can try to retain some of your spoons, retain some of your energy, maybe carry in food the night before, maybe don't do your cleaning the night before, just to be on the reserve for the event. And hopefully that makes sense to you. So spoon theory, I love when it comes up on our posts. I think that especially when we're coming into hotter seasons, and again, when we go into the colder months, when we tend to exert more energy to help regulate our blood pressure and heart rate, I think it really is valuable to understand this concept. And I would check out her information. Again, her name is Christine Miserando, and you can check this out on her website, butyoudon'tlooksick.com. And just because her situation is lupus related, I trust me, it will apply to anybody who has anything that's chronic. So that is our spoon theory. That is our Therapeutic Thursday. Hope you find it as interesting as I do. I know I get really excited about it every time it comes up, just because I love talking about it. I think it's just the visuals for me help. I mean, if it were up to me, I'd be holding spoons right here in my hands. Okay, this brings us to our Feel Good Friday. What a fun Friday this was, because we've been seeing the community come out and sign up. These are just a few of the examples of things that we have given to the community in our initiative called Hope Mail. Hope Mail. It started back in, oh my goodness, probably 2016. Now, I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to tell you somebody in the community was about to have this terminology I heard called aortiversary. So I knitted her. I was loom knitting at the time. It was a year after my dissection and I needed to find a hobby. I loom knitted her a pillow, a little teeny tiny heart pillow that I stuffed with stuffing, and I didn't know what I was doing, but she loved it. And next thing you know, somebody else said, "Well, it's going to be my aortiversary. Can I have a heart pillow?" So I think I needed another one. And I think in the very beginning, we had 4 people that said, "Can I have some items?" And so we started calling it Hope Mail because we sent them a piece of hope in the mail. Well, next thing you know, we created this initiative and we've had, I think it was our complete first full year, there was about 32 people signed up. And now we have over 300 people that are signed up to receive a small care package once a year during their designated aortiversary month. And this includes caregivers. And it's really our way of acknowledging this important milestone and our way to say thank you. Thank you for your support. We want to acknowledge your special moment, and we want to let you know that there are a bunch of people here rallying behind you. So Hope Mail is free. There's a link on our Facebook page. There's a link on our website. And, if you'd like a little note from the individuals here at Aortic Hope just to cheer you on, sign up for Hope Mail. You never know what you're going to get. Every year the items change. So without sharing what this year's items are, some of our past items were, as you saw in the picture, we had a jar opener. We've had color changing straws because everybody needs those. We've had pill, I guess they were like pill keychains that hold pills. So we've had stress balls, we've had light up flashlights. Last year, we offered a screen cleaner and a camera cover for your computer. So we try to come up with items that we think will be beneficial to individuals within the community. And again, this is free. This is, we're able to do this based on the generous donations of the community members. It's our way of turning it around and giving back to the community. So sign up. But if you've had 4 surgeries, you got to pick 1 month and stick with it. And make sure to let us know if you change your mailing address. Otherwise, the mail comes back to us and we don't know where we're sending it. So sign up today and hopefully you'll get some Hope Mail at some point within this year. So that was our Feel Good Friday. Who doesn't love getting something fun? I just love getting anything in the mail. Now with email and text messaging and Snapchatting and Instagramming and all these other things, I long for a piece of snail mail. I don't know about you, but when I see something that's not a bill, I get really, really excited. And not something that I purchased at like 2 a.m. and not really remembering what I purchased. Snail mail makes me very happy. So that's our Feel Good Friday. Now, this weekend was the Preakness Stakes in my hometown here of Maryland. And no, I was not on the infield because I would not do that. Do you know, in my whole life, I'd never made it to the infield, and tons of my friends made it there. But the horror stories that they told me about the condition of the infield just scared me. And then I probably wasn't allowed to go when I was younger. I'm sure my parents probably said, you're not going there. It's just a drink fest and a drunk fest. But I would go and sit in the stands just so I could wear a really, really, really fun hat, because who doesn't love a really fun, feathery, like fabulous hat? But I did not go. I did watch it though on TV, and it was very exciting. But what we do here at Aortic Hope is we have a horse naming contest for everybody. So we look for everybody to come up with a creative name for their horses, and then we draw a prize. We actually draw 3 names. So I want to tell you some of the names that we got here from this horse race. So one of the entries named Riding Rip Torn, which was very interesting name. Another one was Silver Shadow. We had Aortic Spirit, Heart of a Warrior, Triple A, Busting Loose, and Kindness Wins. I think they were pretty creative names. I know that we had some creative names that Tammy shared with you around the Kentucky Derby. So these were definitely not duplicates. And then I wanted to go ahead and tell you who won. So honorable mention was Silver Shadow, and our creative name went to David Rogers. They both received prizes. And our winner of the Preakness Stakes went to Kindness Wins. So they all won some pretty awesome prizes. And then we're going to have to wait for the Belmont. We'll see who wins on the Belmont when that one happens. So that's very exciting stuff. Okay. That takes us to our Sunday, our Amazon Sunday. And that's because Father's Day is right around the corner. So why not turn your holiday and summer shopping into a force for good? And if you plan on making any purchases via Amazon, consider purchasing through smile.amazon.com instead, because Amazon will actually donate 0.5% of qualified purchases back to Aortic Hope or your designated charity of choice. Of course, we would love if you picked Aortic Hope as your charity of choice. But again, this is just another way that the community can help us raise funds so we can turn 100% of those funds right around and giving them back to you through a variety of our initiatives. Now, some of the things I want to talk about before we say goodbye, since it's just me chatting today and Molly, who popped in to say hi. Some exciting things that are happening this week. If you catch us live today, if you're catching us live or you catch us later, Wednesday, May 25th, 7 p.m., we have our support group meeting. Now, anybody can attend this support group meeting, although it tends to be more patients and survivors, dissections, valve disease, it doesn't matter. But that is this Wednesday night at 7 p.m. We also are always looking for individuals who want to be featured in our Survivor Series, our Survivor Story series. That happens every other Saturday. Now, there's 3 ways that you can participate in this series. 1, you can send us a written blog with a picture. 2, you can do a pre-recorded video. Or 3, you can just go all out and be daring and talk live on our YouTube channel like I am now and interact with the community as you're sharing your story. So there's a link. You can go ahead and click on that and submit your information to be featured in our Survivor series. Mind you, this will not only be featured on our YouTube channel, but it'll also be on our website, Facebook, Instagram, and probably shared with our sister organization, Think Aorta US as well. And finally, June. June is going to be such an exciting month. We have 5 guest speakers. Pretty sure it's 5, 4 or 5 guest speakers. It is our book reading month. Who doesn't love to read a good book while you're sitting at the pool or you're in your AC or you're at the beach or on the plane? We've got some community members who actually are survivors that wrote books and poetry, and they will be reading excerpts of their books and giving you all the information on how you can order these books yourself. In addition, we have Jen Fernjack, who has written a book, and she is giving away, or she has offered a $5 off code. All of that is on our events section on our website. But our first guest speaker is on June 2nd at 7 p.m. Her name is Maria Herrera. And just to give you a little bit of information about her, Maria's first aortic dissection was in 2009 at the age of 53. And at that time, she was healthy and actually training for the Chicago Marathon. But unfortunately, 6 weeks before the marathon, she had an emergency open heart surgery. Because it was difficult to diagnose, her aorta dissected to the left iliac, causing a type A and type B dissection. This was the beginning only of her aortic dissection journey, and it actually changed her life forever. Post first surgery, many other issues arose that led to a second open heart surgery in 2017. Maria Herrera is a licensed clinical social worker with diverse experience in social work. She holds a doctorate in social work and a master's of social work from Aurora University and a bachelor's of arts in sociology and anthropology, with actually a minor in criminal justice from the University of Illinois in Springfield. Maria has a passion for working and volunteering with vulnerable populations. Her professional career and poetry reflect that hunger. She is a very proud immigrant born in Mexico who came to the United States at age 17. Her book is titled Dissected: Healing with Poetry, My Journey of 2 Aortic Dissection Surgeries. And the link to that information is on the events section of our website and Facebook. So hopefully you can join us on June 2nd. I know we're going to try to do little giveaways during each of these book reading events, but you have time now to go ahead and purchase her book of poetry, as well as utilize the coupon for Jen's book. And she will be doing an actual presentation about her book, similar but different to the presentation she gave for Rock from the Heart. That is it. That is our entire week in review. Usually we like to chat for about an hour, but today's timing was a little different, but next week we will be back on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'd love to have you join us. Come join us online. Come talk to us. In the meantime, when you watch this, please click like, please click share, and please leave a comment. Give us an opportunity to chat with you, banter with you a little bit, and help others find Aortic Hope so that they can start receiving the same support that you do as well. So until next week, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.